Okay, so for the first question here, I'm asked to find the modal class, and that's similar to finding the mode of normal data. It's just that this time my data is grouped together, so I'm finding the modal class, but it means the same thing. So we can see here that the frequency is 14, that's the greatest, and therefore this section here is going to be your modal class. So it's 110 all the way through to 130, and it uses the same notation there that we have in the middle here. The second one is to calculate an estimate of the mean, so we're going to use our GDC to do that. So we're going to open up a spreadsheet, and then we're going to type in the mass and the frequency. So the frequency here, I've already typed this in. The mass is, and I'm going to use for the mass the midpoint of each one. So the first one is 70 to 90, and therefore I'm going to use a middle point of 80. So we always use the midpoint as an estimate when working out the mean. So I'm just going to type in the rest of my data. So here I've got all my data typed in. I've got the mass and I've got the frequency, and it's literally just typed in from my question using the midpoint. So to find the mean, I do the menu, statistics and stats calculations, and it's one variable that I'm looking at. I have one variable, mass, and then a frequency. And we click OK. So it says, where's your data? So the data is the mass, and the frequency is called frequency. So you're just selecting it from the values that you've got, and we click OK. And then you can see here, we've got lots of data points and information about the statistics. We're interested in the mean, and the mean is shown as X bar. And you can see here it's 135.2. So 135.2 is my mean. So you'd be expected to use your GDC for that question. For the next part, you can complete the cumulative frequency table and then use that to do the graph. So you're going to add together to do the cumulative frequency. Cumulative just means you're adding it up as you go along, you're accumulating it. So we've got 8, and then for the next one we have 8 plus 8. So that's going to give me 16. And then for the next one it's 8 plus 8 plus 22. So now I have 38. And then I've got 8 plus 8 plus 22 plus 39, and so on. So each time I'm just going to add on the next value of my cumulative frequency. And now I have that, I can use it to plot my cumulative frequency graph. So when I'm plotting this one, I'm going to be using the upper bound and the cumulative frequency. So the upper bound is here, and then the cumulative frequency is here. So for the first one, I've got 90 and 8. So I need to plot on my graph 90 for the mass, and there are 8 people at that value. And then for the second one, it's 110 and 16, 110 and 16, and then we've got 120 and 38, and so on. So I'm just going to keep plotting in the same way until I've got all my values plotted like this. And then to finish it, I need to draw a curve through my answers. So it starts at the origin here. So there was no values less than 70 on this data set. And I'm just drawing a curve. And it should be smooth and continuous. Yours should be better than mine as it's not on an iPad, until we have the final curve drawn. And then we're going to use the cumulative frequency to estimate the median and the interquartile range. So the median is the middle value. So if I've got 120 in total, half of that is going to be 60. So I'm going to use that, and I'm estimating that there is about 100 and 26 for my median. And in fact, you could have got any answer between 124 and 127. Then for the interquartile range, that's where you're splitting it into quarters. It says quartile, so it's splitting it into quarters. So half of 60 is going to give me 30, and halfway between 60 and 120 is going to give me 90. So I can see here that I've got my two values, and they're roughly 116 and 137. So the interquartile range is the distance between those two. So if I subtract 137 and 116, then I get 21. And again, you would have allowed anything between 14 and 21.